could just pull that mic down to your mouth.
Sure.
If you want.
I have
If you're not
such a
too
big
shy.
mouth, trust me. This is not going to be an issue. I know how to speak up.
Well, yes.
Okay. This is a eulogy from Lily. She asked me to read this. I saw her about a month ago and up in Portland. And we talked a bit about her grief in losing her dad and how close she is to him and was to him, and how she and he had an understanding about things. And she made a conscious decision not to attend today for many reasons, but she felt she did have some things to say, so she asked me to read what she wrote. So this is a eulogy from Lily for her father. Life comes at you fast. That's something my dad and I used to quote to each other often, and never has it felt more deeply and hollowly true than it has in the past few months. Life happens without warning, as does its end, and then it continues anyway, which somehow feels like an even greater shockwave. It always feels like it shouldn't just go on, and then it does. And we gather, and we speak, and we share the weight with each other. I don't particularly know the convention for how a eulogy is supposed to be written. I know anything I try to put into words will be incomplete, and ultimately we will all have so much more to feel than we'll ever be able to say. I also know, at least, that none of us would do my dad the disservice of thinking he cared for convention. So maybe just speaking is enough for now. He was always good at holding the space to listen, the space to process and grieve. Now we hold that space for him. My dad and I talked a lot about death before either of us thought it was anywhere near us. We talked of endings, of karmic debt, of nothingness, of afterlives, of spirituality, religion, superstition, suspicion, of ancient practices, of contemporary maladies, really about everything other than the moment of death itself. We talked about everything that came after, if there was any sort of after, and now here we all are in the after, and he isn't. He isn't in pain, he isn't grieving. Excuse me just a second here. We've taken over his position and his portion of that burden in this gathering. He was a very good dad. I need you all to know that, to understand just how much good he did, even when he wasn't there or when I wasn't there. He was so good to me. He taught me so much about how to be kind and patient, and how to listen and to learn, and how to make things. He taught me how to roast olives, how to make a motor with a battery and a magnet, how to edit reverb into a track, how to get an avocado pit out safely every time. He taught me how not to take life so seriously and how to keep moving under the weight of the world when it gets heavy. I would never describe my dad as an optimist, but he taught me something far more valuable in the sticking power of hope, in stubbornness, in backing up to get a good look at the big picture. Just because he isn't here anymore doesn't make any of these things go away. My dad is still a good dad, and he lives on as a part of me, even as he no longer exists outside of any of us. I love him, I miss him, and I keep him with me always. I know we all do. I have a little more to say, this time addressed to my dad. A letter he'll never get to read, but that I hope will somehow reach him by proxy through all of us. Just, I need a second here. Actually, I've got it in my pocket too, thank you. Good idea. Okay. Hey, Dad, I've been continuing on. Recently, I went to go see a movie with a friend, but with parking being what it is here, we were running so late that we just took our tickets and snuck into the next movie at the theater. I don't even know what it was called. It was in Chinese. One of those purposely overdone kung fu comedies you loved so much. And true to the School of Synchronicity, it was one that the two of us had watched together years ago. My whole heart is incapable of believing in any existence after death. You knew this and accepted this when we talked about it. I am incapable of believing you could visit me, yet I am still so glad that you did, that somehow you were there in that theater to watch one more movie with me, even after the fact. Happenstance and nostalgia brought me back through time to you for a couple of hours. I can only imagine this will keep happening to me the rest of my life. You surround me in other ways too. I found someone who makes me coffee in the morning like you did. I found someone else who shows me music like you did. I found someone else who keeps all the origami I give them like you did. There's a lot of you in everyone I find myself holding dear. I'm gonna be okay, Dad. That's a promise. You've gone where you need to go, and I'm going where I need to in this life as well. I'm finding people to look out for me like you did, even if they're unaware they're carrying on your torch. Excuse me. You will never leave me, not really, not ever. And honestly, when it comes down to it, I think you are always a bit excited to be returned to the source, for your ending of life to bring you into the all, as the all was in you, in all that you brought to the world during your life. So I sign off with all the love left in the living world from your kiddo, who's doing everything you taught me to make life a bit less of a mess down here. As above, so below. Memento mori. I'm glad you can finally get some rest, Dad. Words below.